Hi guys, welcome to the channel. This is Waga. We are going to continue building our Instagram clone on SwiftUI, and what we're going to do today is we're going to handle the signing in and the persistence, right? So for the signing in and persistence, what we need to create is a session store. Now what a session store will do is that it will check whether or not a user has been signed in and decide which screen to show us. If you're signed in, you see the main view or the timeline or whatever we'll decide to call it. If you're not signed in, you're sent to the sign in page so that you can sign in, right? So that's what we're going to do today, and let's get to work. So for that, we could come to the services folder and we can say Command N, and in the services folder we could create a new, let's create a new Swift file, right? So we hit that, and the file is going to be called SessionStore, like so, and we hit create like that, and we come back here, and the thing that we add is we're going to add combine, and we're going to add Firebase, and we are going to add Firebase auth, like so. And next we're going to create our session store. So let me create it and then say a few words about it. Session store, it's going to be an observable object like so, and now it can work. Now this class will listen for authentication states when they change. There's a Firebase function that we're going to use to do this, and it will update our session information depending on that. Our views, the views that subscribe to this, will which is the main view. We're going to use our content view as our main view, right? We could change the name, but I don't see the reason. We could just call it, you could call it maybe initial view or main view or home view. We are going to use the content view to check whether or not there's a user and decide which page to render, right? So depending whether we are authenticated or not, the content view will make changes to the content view, will show one page or another, right? So we can come here and can create a variable called var did change, and this is combine actually. We could say pass through subject, and here we're going to pass in the session store and never, like so. So this is combine that we're using here. It broadcasts elements, a subject in combine broadcasts elements to downstream view, that to items that are downstream from it. It is a type of publisher. It's a special type of publisher. If you subscribe to this pass-through subject, you get all the events that will happen after you have subscribed, right? So if you subscribe to this, you'll get all the events that will happen afterwards. There's a really good Medium article that goes into a lot of depth on this. On the day I'm posting this video, if I remember, I will post it in the links. If I don't post it in the links, just ask me in the comment section to post the article, and I'll do that. But anyway, let's get back to work. And here we could say at published, like so. This is going to be our session, and our session is going to check whether we have a user. So if we have a user, object, we'll decide on what to do if we have a user, right? And here we could say did set, and we could come here and say self did change, and we could send the self, like so. And after that we could say var handle, and we could say auth. This is a Firebase, this is from Firebase, right? Firebase auth or something. Yeah, I think it's, yeah, Firebase auth. We could say auth state did change listener handle, like so, and this is going to be optional, and that's what we're going to use. And we're going to come down here. So upon calling, we're going to create a method. We're going to call it listen. Let's just call it listen and then explain about it a bit, like so. And what we're going to say here, when we call the listen method, the app will monitor the authentication state changes, right? So when it does, we either create a user model. When this happens, we create a user model and put it in our session property, or we will set our sessions to nil. So if we have a user model, we'll put it in session. If not, we're going to set it to nil, and depending on that, the views will know what to, if we have a user, to show him the timeline. If we don't have a user, that is, if we set it to nil, we're going to have what's it called, the sign up or sign in page. Yeah, so we could come here and say handle, and this is going to be, this is all Firebase, so we'd say auth like so, and we're going to add state did change listener like so, and we are going to come here and in here we're going to say auth and user, and we're going to say in, this is a closure, remember. We could say if let user, and this is going to be user like so, and we're going to say we're going to store the user session or nil if there's no session, right, like I just said. So we could say let Firestore user ID equals, we're going to use the method that we created here outside. So we're going to get the Firestore user ID, right, from the document, right? So we could say dot get user ID, and we're going to pass user dot UID. The user that comes back, the user ID can be gotten from the UID, right? UID. And after that, we could come here and say Firestore user ID dot, we're going to get the document, get document, and for the get document we are going to have let's just put curly braces here, and we put a closure. We could say the document and error, and this is going to be in, and we're going to use another method that we made, and we could say if let dict equals document, which is optional dot data, and we're going to come here and we're going to say, we're going to try to decode the user from what is returned. So we could say guard, and we're going to use the method that we created in one of the extensions, I think. Yeah, is it decodable? I think we're going to use decodable. Yeah, so we could say guard let decoded user, and we're going to try user dot init, and we're going to use the from dictionary, and here we're going to pass in the dict that we just made here. Interestingly, I'm pointing to my screen to show you. So actually I'm supposed to highlight with the cursor, so we're going to put in the dict here so that it converts it into a user model. Else we're going to return here like so, and after that we're going to say self dot session, and this is just going to be decoded user, yeah, like that. And we're going to come to the end of this here, and we could say else that is, there's no user. If we find no user and we can't put them in the as a user model, we could say self dot session, and this is going to be set as nil like so. Okay, it's not supposed to be here. I think we need to move it. Let's cut this, and put it here like so. So that is our okay. Is it? I think I'm putting it in the wrong place. Let's just cut it and put it here. Like so, right? Because it's, yeah, if after the if we put the else, just make sure you get it correctly. So we align it, we put it there, and that is I've explained what this code does. It gets the user set as the user model, and then from what is returned from Firebase. If not, we set the session to nil, and depending on this, we decide on whether or not we are going to, what we're going to render. Another method we could create, right, after the listen is just the log out, the whatever will log us out. So for that we could just say func log out, and we're just going to have a do catch. We could say do, and here we're going to say try auth dot auth, and this is going to be sign out, like so. And here we're going to have a catch, and yeah. And there's also another very, very good article on particularly dealing with exactly what we did, logging in with Firebase. It's by Ben McMahon. I will show it in, if I remember, I'll put the comment. I'll put the link in the description, but I'll also show it. I'll remember after we finish working on our SessionStore. I will make sure I actually show it. So what we could do here is we could, after this unbind, we need a way to stop listening to our authentication change handler. I'll show you the article where all this information is drawn from, and if you're interested, you can have a look. It has more detail, but basically it's even what we're going to do in the content view. It's exactly drawn from there. So if you're interested, with an actual example of what I use to come to this, to do this, I will paste it here so that you can go and check and hopefully improve, and we can continue from there. So we could say here we remove state change handler listener, and we're going to pass in the handle so that we can stop listening to it. And after this, we could use a deinitializer, and what we could do here is unbind, like so. So basically that's that. This is our SessionStore, and it contains our information, and it will help us. Listen to changes, and when a new user is signed in, we create the user model or set to nil, and depending on that, that's how we're going to render our pages. Let me just quickly show you the blog I was talking about. Search for Ben McMahon. I don't know whether I'm butchering his name. McMahon. And when you come, click on blog when you go to his page, and you go to using Firebase Authentication with SwiftUI, and you come here and you could see this information and whatnot. Remember, some of this information might not be accurate because it was written while SwiftUI 1 was in beta, right? SwiftUI 1 was in beta, right? Yeah, that's what I meant to say. So another thing is that bindable objects no longer exist. This is we no longer use bindable object, as you have seen. Those are the minor changes. We use observable object. So this was written before SwiftUI changed some things, right? While it was still in beta. And another thing, don't forget when you're using session, to make sure that you use the published wrapper, right? So that you can view it from wherever, from the other views. So aside from this is the excellent article whose ideas we're going to follow. Func, sign up, whatnot, sign out, and basically this. If you're interested in this, here's I think 2 articles in this series, and this is the exact method we're going to use. We're going to do exactly this on our content view, so that we can decide whether we render one page or another, right? And there's also another article if you may be interested, displaying Firebase images with SwiftUI. So that can also be something that you might be interested in, and you should definitely have a look, right? So yeah, so there are the 2 articles that are the underpinnings of what we are doing, the ideas that I took from that. Now the next thing we need to do is create the method that we can use to sign in, and for that we go to the out service that we created, I think a few videos back, or last video, depending on how I put them together. So we could come here, and what we would want is okay, we could come here and copy this data. Let's copy this. Copy. We will need let's just type it out. I'm trying to static function, and I've explained why it's static. We could say sign in, like so, and we are going to use an email which is going to be of type string, password which is going to be of type string. Let me just turn on my my Pomodoro timer so that I know when to take breaks. Okay, password, and on success is going to be we could copy this code here. let's copy this code and we say like so. Let's copy it until here, like so. So we copy the on success, copy, come here and paste it like so, and get rid of this and come here and I explained the code here earlier, so I'm guessing you know what is happening and I've talked about it before. So let's go a bit faster. We try and make this video under 30 minutes, I hope. So we could say auth.auth, and we could say sign, where is it? Sign in with email, and the email is going to be email. The email is going to be email. The password is going to be password, and after this we're going to have the password. After this we're going to have a closure, and we could say auth data error, and we could say in, and come down here and we could say if error. We could copy these 2 lines like so. Come here, copy, paste those 2 lines. I explained them in the previous video what they do, so we can just come here and we're going to use a method that we created, that the one which we decode a user from data that has been brought back from Firebase. So we could say let Firestore user ID. Wait, let me just look at SessionStore. We could okay, no, we couldn't use the exact same code. Either the code, they look alike but they're not exactly the same. So we could say get user ID, and in it you're going to pass in the user ID, like so, that we just created up here, and we are then going to say Firestore user ID dot get document, and we're going to have a closure here, and let me just delete this. Get document, and we are going to come here and we're going to say document error in, and we're going to come here and say create a dictionary. Let dict equals, we're going to try and get it from the data that has come back. This is optional, of course. Data, and here we're going to say guard let decoded user equals try, optional, and this is going to be user dot init, like so, and we could say here from dictionary, and here it's going to be dict, else we are going to just return, else we're just going to return here, like so, and on success we're just going to have the decoded user, like that, to put the word if here. So we can put if and continue, right? And after that we can come to our views folder, and we can hit Command N, and we are going to create a new SwiftUI file called home view. This is what you're going to render if you're signed in, right? So we could say home. If you're signed in, this is what you're going to see. So we're going to say home view, and what we're going to say here is just type home view, like so. Yeah, so basically that, and we can continue from there to hook up our sign up view to our auth service, right? So that we can sign in from there. Sign in, not sign up, sign in view. I don't know why I say signed up. The two confuse me. Okay, so the easiest and fastest way to do this is to come up to sign up view, and we can copy this last 3, the error, the showing alert, and the alert title, like so. So we copy these 3 state variables, come back here, and can leave a space so that you can see what we copied. we're going to need those three. Then after that, we could copy some of the functions. We don't need load image, but we do need the clear and the error check, like so. So we got the clear and the error check, and you can check in the previous video or the video that handled this, depending on how I put them out, on what the various functions do. So we could come here and we could do this. Now for error check, we do not have an image here, so what we have here, we have the email and password. So we need to get rid of the image is empty, like so, and we also need to get rid of the username, like so, and maybe get rid of that or. Okay, so we have the email and password and return null. Okay, and we don't have a username here, so we can get rid of this. So yeah, so that will save us a bit of time in typing. And save that, come back, and the next thing we need to do is we could copy this method and alter it. The sign up method, we'll just call it sign in. So we come here, we could come and we could paste what we copied, and yeah, so we have sign up like that, and what we could do here is out service.sign in, and we could make a few corrections. We could have an email here, we could have a password here, we could remove the image data. We don't have an image data for this, fortunately or unfortunately. And yeah, basically that. So this is going to be not sign up but sign in, like so, and we could save. And the next thing we could do is we could come back to sign up view, and we could go and to the button and get the alert. So let's just go to the button and get the alert. We could copy this, come back to the sign in view, go back to our button, look for our button, and we could put the alert there, like so. Is there anything else we're left with? And this is going to be come to the action, and come to the action, and we could say sign in, like so, and we save it. Come to our content view, and what we do is we hook it up to the environment objects, and for that we could just have environment object allows you to access essentially a dictionary from wherever in the app, right? So we want access to the environment object from wherever. So we could say var, and it is our session, which is of type SessionStore, like so. And after that we're going to have a group. Let's have a group here, and this group is going to have we're going to say if session dot session, that is if there is a user, is not equal to nil, that is if there is a user, we want to return the home view, like so. Else, that is if there is no user, we want to return the sign in view, like so, right? And when this is the entry point of our app, right? So when it appears, when it starts off, we want it to perform a certain function, and the function in question is going to be called func listen, and what it's going to do is just going to activate our session.listen, which we created. So it's going to go to our session store. Let's go to our session store, and it's going to run listen to see if there's a user, right? So let's come to where storage. Where are we? I'm getting confused. Oh yeah, we were in content view, like so. And as an app lifecycle method, we want to run the this when it appears. So we could say on appear, we want to run the listen when this appears. So we could say perform, and what we want here is we want to perform the listen. We could run our app, but we will run into a problem that I will show you shortly. Okay, it's running. Yeah, so it says type SessionStore found. So what we should do is we should go to our content view. The app the app of our app, I'm guessing the app file of our app, which is Flexigram2 app, and we provide the environment object, and this is going to be SessionStore, like so. And when we do this and we now run it, I think our app should build. And if we can go back to our content view, you see the let's stop it and run it again. You see it will flash the sign in view, then go to the home view. It will check whether this is because I was trying it out. So when I tried it out, I signed in, right? So it checks, and we see the sign in view, and then we check, we find that there's actually a user, and we see the home view, and the home view just says home view, right? Yeah, okay. Just to test and make sure that our app is working as it should, is that we should first we should log out. We should create a logout button for our app, and for that, what we could do is we could come to the content view, and we'll just borrow a line. We'll borrow environment object. We'll borrow this line, copy this line, go to home view, and paste this line here. And after that, we could put our text in a VStack. We want a button where when you click, you log out, right? So for that, we could put everything here in a VStack like so. And let's just add that. And so we have a VStack. And instead of writing a button from scratch, what we could do is we could just copy. This is just for testing purposes, right? So we could come here and we could copy the button. Let's copy the sign up button, copy it, come back to home view, come here. I have videos on buttons, text, VStack, and all that in the what's it called, in the SwiftUI basics, if you're interested in more detail about this. But we created this button from scratch, so if you're following along, you should know what we're doing. Okay, so we have our button here, and the action in question we wanted to conduct is actually going to be session.logout, like so. So okay, that's how it's supposed to be, I guess. And let's run things. We should see our home view and button across the screen. And okay, let's see our button. Okay, so we see our sign up. Okay, let's call it logout. Let's call it logout, like so. And we hit save, and okay, we need to run it again. There is no hot reloading here, unfortunately. But you can use the preview canvas, which we are not doing. But you could do that. So we could hit logout, and if this happens, according to our content view, we should go back to our sign-in view, right? So let's do it. Let's hit logout, and we're back in our sign-in view. And now that we're in our sign-in view, we can test a few things. Like if we hit this button, we get our message, please fill in all fields and provide an image. Okay, we copied the line without correcting everything. Let's go back to our sign-in view, and please fill in all fields. There's no image here, so we could do this and come here and save, and let's give an incorrect email to see if everything works. And we could come here and we say GFJ, and we should, the email address is badly formatted, so we know everything is working. And let's try logging in. Let's say password. We created a user called password at gmail.com, and creatively his password is password. So if we hit that, if we hit this, we should see the home view if everything is as it should be. So we hit this, and it takes a bit, but we get the home view. And if you want, you can hit the button and you log out. So basically, we have done everything we have set out to do. We have hooked up our sign-in. We have created a session store. We have created a home view, and we have hooked up our sign-in. We've created the sign-in method in the auth service, and we have hooked everything up together. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to the channel. Leave a comment in the comment description, in the comment section, and I will see you in the next video.